and welcome to Watches Tonight. I am your host, Tim Massa. We have an exciting slate this evening.
Well, hello. Welcome. Come in. Say hi. Hey, Jay.
Hey.
What's up?
What was hot in the design district this year? Let's start with Gerald Genta, or perhaps I should say Bulgari and Gerald Genta. This was the Gerald Genta by Bulgari 50th anniversary Arena by Retro, and it's a watch that stole my heart when I saw the first press photos. And the hand on the wrist, it impressed even more. It intrigues on multiple levels. Let's start with the most basic. I'm impressed and gratified that Bulgari acknowledged its history. Gerald Genta, as a brand founded in 1969 by the eponymous designer, was bought by Bulgari in 2000 and phased out as a name starting in 2010. It gradually disappeared over the course of 2 model years. Now in 2016, Bulgari, on behalf of our Govberg authorized dealer side of the company, actually sponsored a series of videos that I shot featuring their latest models. And anytime I tried to draw a line from something like the Octo to its history with the Gerald Genta brand, Bulgari vetoed the video and had me redo because they didn't want to muddy the waters. They didn't want to embrace that part of their past. This watch proves that they've changed their mind. I'm happy to see the change of heart, the embrace of the Genta history, and it's important to own your history if you want to be a true luxury manufacturer. Bulgari, welcome to the club. Second, on a product basis, the watch is sensational and just tons of fun. It makes me smile. Wearable at 41 millimeters with retrograde minutes, retrograde date, a jump hour, 100-meter water resistance, and massive in platinum without being large. It was such a treat. Original double G logo on the dial, on the clasp, and on the case back. They're embracing not just the Genta brand, but also the iconography and the history. The logo from 1969 is the one you see on this one. The blue sunburst dial pops, and the applied Arabic numerals as well as indices of the minute track give the watch a 3-dimensional look and richness on top of the sunburst. This is just a really cool all-arounder that could easily be your only watch. And unlike the old Gentas, this one features a Bulgari BVL 191 base caliber rather than an ETA 2892 or Gerard Perregaux. 50 pieces and $59,000. This thing is going to be scarce, but I think a version of this watch in carbon, titanium, or steel, Bulgari likes all three, should be a permanent part of the collection in homage to its history. Call it Bulgari's version of the AP 15202 or the 5711 Nautilus. Now, jumping in, Audemars Piguet, you guys had one hell of a rally at Watches and Wonders after SIHH. The watch that impressed me, the Audemars Piguet Code 1159 Perpetual calendar. I didn't see it at SIHH, where the focus was entirely on the basic automatic and the chronographs that were going to be the volume models. We have a picture of the automatic and the chronograph, and you can see the problems with those two. The automatic has a relatively anodyne date, whereas the chronograph, especially in person, is almost unreadable. You can't discern the features on the dial base. Gloss polished metal on a gloss lacquer. It's just too much. Here's what goes right with the Perpetual. Everything I didn't like about the previous watch is corrected. It fills the gaping hole in the bezel that so many of us critiqued on the originals. The Perpetual calendar has an explosive aventurine dial center that gives depth and luster and texture and contrast. All of a sudden, you have a dial with sufficient strength and presence to hold its own against the overpowering bezel, case, and lugs, which are beautifully executed but asymmetrically styled. They're just too much for the basic watch. Here, they scintillate. AP was clear about its plans to keep the 1159 collection scarce. I was happy to hear that and not force inventory on dealers or their own boutiques. They were also doubly certain about keeping complications scarce, so this will remain a watch undersupplied. Their goal is a wait list. I think they're going to achieve that. AP was also clear about the nuance and self-awareness that maybe we didn't pick up during the all-singing, all-dancing rollout of this model line. They are not going to push these past the point of demand. It's not going to be like the Royal Oak. It's never going to be mainstream. And they particularly are not going to recreate the scenario of the once red-hot but ultimately oversold Millenary 4101 that bowed in 2011, rocked it for about 2 years, but then overpopulated the market. Furthermore, AP is also listening and carefully to customer feedback regarding the entire Code 1159 line, and that's all a collector can really ask. I expect this line to become the definition of interactive watchmaking down the line. AP doing wonderful things with this line. Still not a great show on the automatic or chronograph front. The watches need improvement, but the fact that the brand is open to everything and collectors means that they are not bullheaded or headstrong about the direction. Correcting mid-course sometimes is a sign of strength.
So now we're in our top 3, guys. It's getting crazy. Oh, what's our number 3?
It's like a pug.
Oh,
It's so ugly, it's kind of cute.
Yeah. All right. So right now, one of the hottest modern Rolexes is the new ceramic Pepsi on a Jubilee bracelet. So what are we looking at? A vintage, which, by the way, you can buy for about the same price. A vintage Pepsi. Yeah. Vintage
Close.
Pepsi. So we've had
1675.
So this is our 3rd vintage Rolex, or vintagey Rolex.
Yeah.
Right? So people are vintage is driving a lot of the a
Well,
lot of what people are looking for, at
yeah.
least.
I mean, if you're talking vintage in the watch market, it's Patek and Rolex, no matter what.
Yeah,
so,
makes sense.
Makes sense.
So it's a Rolex GMT Master. This is the Pepsi because it has blue on the top, red on the bottom of the bezel. This one's a 1675. Let's check. Let me check out the age on this bad boy. So what are your thoughts on the like vintage watches in general, Jack?
So here, listen. I had a conversation with actually the guy that bought the Speedmaster today.
Yeah.
And it's like anything. I don't work a tremendous amount in vintage watches. Neither, as a company, we don't. Rolex, Patek, vintage. Maybe some pocket watches will do. Vintage has this stigma. It kind of scares me a little bit because there's such a different depth of information that you have to really know. So I know enough to get by. I know about dials and hands change and stuff like that. Stuff you have to look for that a lot of people don't know. But there's other guys that just completely go down the rabbit hole on vintage.
Bob Marin.
Yeah, so I like the watch. It's cool. Would I ever put $16,000 of my own money into a watch that's older than my dad? No.
This one's not old, Dad. This one's late 70s.
It's
Unless
not
you got a real young dad.
Is it 5.0?
5.1 million
So,
series
all right,
is going to
well,
be
listen,
late
I mean,
70s.
Okay, so still old.
Change your
watch.
opinion, Jay.
Now I like it. No, I don't dislike it. I think this one particularly has nice patina. I wouldn't, if I was gonna look for a vintage watch.
Called damage.
If I was gonna look for one, I definitely wouldn't buy one like Josh's Panerai that needed like a full overhaul. Because granted, by your own admission, you didn't wear that watch for like 2 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Before I
So
got it fixed up. Yeah.
you're gonna send it to a watchmaker. You're gonna pay a ton of money. So it makes sense that people that want to get into this want something that's turnkey. So they're looking at our website.
Sure.
It's a cool watch. I don't know that I would justify the purchase, but
So-
each his own.
I like watches like this. I don't fully understand this to the point where I understand why there's the value there, but just putting the watch on the wrist and the aesthetics, I love the vintage look. A lot of people like the vintage look. That's why a lot of these companies will do like vintage redos. Like Panerai does a lot of like faded indices, faux faded indices, and things like that. So that's always appealing.
Yeah.
But I like personally, I've put, I don't know if it was this specific watch, but I put on like a 70s Pepsi, and I'm like, oh man, it just feels right. It feels nice.
I think they're cool when it's like the blueberry and it's like stuff like that. I think maybe the appeal for me is the fact that like the Pepsi is new again, so I don't like it as much. But stuff like the blueberry, where there's really no current equivalent, is kind of cool.
All right, so let's go number 2. Drum roll.
It had to be Submariner.
Another Rolex. All right, so it's a Rolex that happens to be cheaper than a current the current market price for a ceramic Submariner. So this is a 16800. So I guess sort of vintage. Let me see I can check out the age. So I mean, so far, what is this telling us, Jay?
So like I said, stainless steel Rolex, unobtainium, especially the current gen stuff. It shows me that people like the Submariner, which we already knew. Stainless steel Rolex is hot. Under retail, guys are looking for the watch at retail. Say you got $8,500 burning a hole in your pocket, and you're looking for stainless steel Rolex. You see this up for $6,750. you know, what's going on here. You click on the watch.
Question for you, Jay. What year were you born?
84.
So this is a birth year watch for you. Something to
I
think
don't
about?
subscribe to the
You don't
birth
care about
year
that? Oh,
watch.
see, I
It's a
love
weird
that.
concept for me.
I love it.
People
think it's
ask
so
me all
cool.
the time. I could do a whole freaking hour-long show as to why I don't think that makes sense.
Can
But
we do that now? No, okay, we can't do that now. Okay, just making sure.
just think, when you get out of bed in the morning, right? As you get older, more things hurt,
Sure.
right? And like you hear your grandparent, you know, your parents, your grandparents say like, "Oh, you don't know, you're young."
Okay.
Imagine the stories that watch has.
I think it's fantastic.
I don't know.
I like the idea of a birth year watch. So I'll
ticking
I'm
time bomb.
86. So it's gonna break, but so is everything. That's life. All right. So drum roll. Number 1 most viewed watch on our website in the last 7 days. It happens to be so. All right. So it's a Rolex. It's
This
an
is not
Oyster
a trick.
Date.
We are not
Oyster
clickbaiting
Date
you right now.
Precision. A reference 6466. It also happens to be the cheapest Rolex on our website.
Guess how much it is.
No one's gonna guess.
I was waiting for someone to say something.
It's a
And it's
$1,950.
Listed for $19.50.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to be said for the fact that it's a $2,000 Rolex.
Mm-hmm.
It's also 29 millimeters. So
tiny. It's a ladies' piece.
I think a lot of people click on it because it's a $2,000 Rolex, stainless steel. Hey, this is kind of cool. Probably think it's a 36 millimeter. And then once they figure out it's 29 millimeter. Hell of a gift watch, though. I mean, for $2,000, you want to give away a Rolex. It's a great.
Jason will sell it to you
your
for less than
girlfriend
$2,000.
or your wife.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. She doesn't want this watch. No, but
I'm gonna send her the link right now.
yeah, she'll send it right back to you. No, she likes.
It actually looks like her Grand Seiko that she wears.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's right. The Grand Seiko's 36 millimeter. All right. So the number 1 most viewed watch on our platform, hundreds of thousands of visitors every week, and it's the cheapest
6466
ladies stainless steel Rolex.
Oyster Date.
This is very interesting.